3 out of 10 men claim to have paid for sex in Spain. One of them states that he has done so only once, while the other 2 are occasional consumers of prostitution. This topic rarely makes major headlines in the press. It also does not lead the news segments of various television networks, unless it involves a case of human trafficking. However, prostitution remains a taboo subject in Spain while simultaneously being a billion-dollar business. Spain is the world's largest consumer of prostitution and one of the top 3 globally. It is a hidden industry, operating in the shadows through concealed enterprises and legal loopholes that allow its numbers to continue growing each year. This activity accounts for 0.35% of the country's GDP, equivalent to an estimated €4.21 billion annually. It is also estimated that around 45,000 women work in prostitution. However, this number could be much higher due to the difficulty of determining the total number of women forced into prostitution and held against their will by trafficking networks, particularly those from Eastern Europe and Africa. Some experts warn that the actual figure could be as high as 120,000 women. Additionally, statistics often fail to account for the number of men engaged in prostitution. Moreover, the clientele is becoming increasingly younger. According to a study conducted by INJUVE for the Youth Report in Spain 2020, 10.6% of young men aged 15 to 29 admitted to having paid for sex, with 4.8% doing so more than once. Among young men aged 25 to 29, 3.9% stated they had done so on multiple occasions. The most active hotspots for prostitution in Spain are Madrid, Barcelona, and the Levante region, particularly Valencia and Alicante. The complex and controversial business of prostitution in Spain. The sex industry in Spain is a complex and controversial issue, with several key aspects to consider, from its economic impact on the GDP to the legal gray areas surrounding it. The high prevalence of trafficking victims and the alarming rates of prostitution consumption among specific demographic groups add new layers to this problem. The economic impact. The financial implications of the sex trade in Spain are enormous. The industry's annual revenue is estimated to surpass even the previously mentioned €4 billion, making it a significant player in the national economy. However, the lack of clear legal regulations regarding prostitution has led to a shortage of accurate data and precise information about the industry, making it difficult to assess its full scope. The legal status of prostitution in Spain. The legal status of exchanging sexual services for money in Spain is complicated. While selling sex for money is not explicitly illegal, profiting from prostitution is not definitively regulated either. This legal ambiguity has led to challenges in governing the industry and difficulties in protecting the rights of those involved in its trafficking and sexual exploitation. The prevalence of human trafficking and sexual exploitation in the sex trade is a major human rights concern. Studies suggest that the majority of women in prostitution in Spain are victims of such abuses, highlighting the vulnerability and exploitation faced by many in this industry. Combating human trafficking and providing support for victims remain urgent priorities to address the complex problems associated with this sector. A multi-million-euro business at a cost. The economic footprint of the commercial sex industry in Spain reveals a lucrative business generating more than €5 million per day. However, this financial gain comes at the expense of the exploitation and abuse of the majority of prostituted women. The impact of online platforms. The rise of online platforms has significantly influenced the economic aspects of the commercial sex industry in Spain. These platforms have shifted the business from traditional locations to the digital sphere, making prostitution more accessible and increasing its economic reach. The internet has enabled greater visibility and access, attracting a broader customer base and amplifying the industry's economic impact. However, online platforms also present regulatory challenges and raise concerns about protecting the rights and well-being of those involved in the sex trade, particularly those vulnerable to exploitation. Human trafficking. A global crisis. Human trafficking has a significant impact on the global commercial sex industry. Composed primarily of women, These victims are often forced or coerced into the trade against their will. A substantial portion of individuals in prostitution are victims of exploitation or human trafficking, highlighting the dark and manipulative nature of the industry. Foreigners, in particular, are often easy targets due to their precarious legal status. Many are lured to Spain with promises of better opportunities, only to become trapped in cycles of exploitation. This underscores the urgent need for international initiatives to combat human trafficking and protect vulnerable individuals. A global perspective. What is the situation like in the rest of the world? According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, there were 225,000 documented cases of human trafficking between 2003 and 2016. Nearly 3/4 of the victims were women and girls, and most were trafficked for sexual exploitation. In 2016 alone, 24,000 known victims of human trafficking were recorded. This figure was obtained from an analysis of 97 of the 194 countries worldwide, a significant increase from 2003, when data was available for only 39 countries. According to the first global report on sexual exploitation published by the CELS Foundation, between 40 and 42 million people worldwide are involved in prostitution. Of these, 80% are women or girls, and the majority, 75%, are between the ages of 13 and 25. Furthermore, 9 out of 10 prostituted individuals depend on a pimp. The legal contradictions in Spain. An interesting fact about prostitution in Spain is that, although prostitution itself is not illegal, other related activities such as sexual exploitation, pimping, or human trafficking are criminal offenses. In other words, while selling sex is not punishable by law, it is often linked to trafficking and exploitation networks, leaving many sex workers in vulnerable situations. In many Spanish cities, the debate on whether to legalize or regulate sex work remains a hot topic. Some locations, such as Barcelona, have specific areas where prostitution is more visible and somewhat regulated. However, at the national level, there is no uniform legislation to govern the sector clearly. What do you think about prostitution in Spain? Leave your opinion in the comments. Finally, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like so you don't miss any future content like this. Also, make sure to subscribe and activate notifications.